Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Today's the Day Changemakers Podcast. I am Jody Grunwald. In this episode, my guest is Meg Knight. Meg shares her very personal journey and hopes to help others on theirs. Professionally, Meg is a graphic designer and designs primarily for B2B publishing companies, focusing on editorial design. She has a 7-year-old son and a husband of 14 years. Meg has now battled breast cancer for the second time and is living with a brain tumor called meningioma. You can learn a lot more about Meg's journey via her Get Inspired by Meg blog, Facebook, and Instagram posts as she openly shares her journey to help others. Her and her son Ryan would do Tik Tok dances after her weekly treatments to celebrate together. Truly adorable. Meg's hope is to inspire others in whatever life challenges are thrown at them, to know that they have choices and that setbacks are sometimes setups for what's next in life. As of the time of taping this opening, Meg has completed all of her radiation and is now working on her healing journey both mentally and physically. Remember, we are all stronger than we think. During this episode, we laugh, we tear up, and we get real about how fragile life truly is. This is a great lesson on how you should not sweat the small stuff and about showing gratitude for the everyday that we are given. Thank you to Meg for sharing a very personal story that I know will help many others feel that they are not alone. Please subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel, download the podcast on all streaming sites, like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today's the Day Live It, and also go to the Today's the Day LiveIt.com website for more information. Have a great week, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Jody Grunwald. I am the host of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. And every week I have an opportunity to interview the most incredible people. These people are the change makers, the inspirers. They are busting through the status quo. They won't take no for an answer. And today I have someone very special who I know we just figured it out right before the podcast. We're like looking at 25 years, which is really insane and incredible. I can't believe it. My guest is Meg Knight. Hi, Meg. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I know 25 years.
Woo.
The simpler times of life back then we were discussing.
Yeah, like when we ran out of MAC makeup or something, like I said, or, where are we going to go? To have a good time to go out dancing. So it's really funny. But Meg is here to share a really special story. I'm going to give you a little background. I never usually read, but I'm reading a little bit from her bio as, I feel like everybody's bio is so special to them. And I want to make sure that I say it the right way here. And I really share some of these amazing nuggets. So Meg was born and raised in New Jersey. She says she's a Jersey girl. She was born in Livingston and grew up in Irvington and Plainfield. She's married 14 years to her best friend and soulmate, Chris. They have an amazing 7-year-old son named Ryan, who is their world and her reason for everything. Meg has worked as a graphic designer for over 20 years and has been fortunate to work from home for the last 7. She designs primarily for B2B publishing companies, focusing on editorial design, and loves what she does. She designed my Today is the Day Changemakers logo, the first one I had. I don't even know how many years ago that was. So that's very special to me as well. And Meg has a passion for music and singing. I guess you started writing and songs and singing at around 12 years old, it says here, Meg?
Yeah.
Incredible. She performed professionally with original and cover bands back in the 90s. I know because I followed her and we went and watched her many, many times. She is, again, as it's healing therapy for the soul, as many, many people know. She is now battling breast cancer for a second time and still living with a brain tumor called, and I don't know if I'm going to get this right, meningioma?
Yeah, meningioma. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Due to her health journey, she tries to consume mostly organic, plant-based, toxic-free dairy and gluten-free products. And she started a blog and a website to share the products she uses and loves, and also some inspiring quotes. She truly believes that really has helped her through breast cancer. Meg hopes to inspire others that whatever challenges are thrown at them, for you to know that you have choices and that setbacks are really setups for what's next to happen in your life. And she's excited to see what happens next. And so am I. I'm excited to see what happens next in your journey as well.
It's been quite a journey for sure.
I know. So before we get to your journey, if you want to just talk a little bit about, obviously, when did you connected to music at 12 years old, and what did it give to you back then?
Back then, oh, wow. So I started, I guess, mostly writing songs first and playing on my guitar. And then as I was writing my lyrics, and they were pretty adult, I felt like, to back then, because I was listening to like Bon Jovi and all this other stuff and Pat Benatar. And I, started writing lyrics then. And then I'm like, well, who's going to sing this? Cause I was like, I was thinking of like, I got to try singing. And then I was a closet singer. So every day after school, I was practicing because my parents worked long days and nights, and my sister was in high school. And so I had the house to myself, like from 12:15 on, so, when she came home from school. And I would practice and practice until I think finally when I was 18, I came out of the closet and just said like, yeah, she's like, Dulcie was like, I thought I heard you singing one time. So yeah, it just gave me a great feeling. And I just been, singing pretty much all, this whole time. And then I took a kind of a hiatus a couple years, and I just got back into it again, and it just been feeling really great doing it again. It just feels good, so good to sing again. And I wanted to eventually get back into writing lyrics and things like that again.
Yeah, I love hearing you. I see you post your videos, and
Yeah.
it's awesome. I know, and it always makes you smile. So that's the one thing, everybody who's listening, watching knows that, Meg has a light about her that's always coming from her, no matter what she's gone through. Even though I haven't seen her in person in such a long time.
It's been a long because of COVID.
Exactly. Always the light. So that's awesome that you're back to singing. I know I miss seeing you and following you around. I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago though, right? So then, obviously you had mentioned that you're graphic design work, and now you're 7 years working from home. So talk a little bit about what made you go into graphic design work, and a little bit about your career.
I always was on the artistic and creative side. And then it wasn't up until I think towards the end of high school, I went into looking into graphic arts, design. And then I just specialized more into magazine publishing, which I really, really love. So I just been doing magazine publishing for the most part, I guess, past 15 years now. Doing magazine, but I've always loved, graphic design. I love, I still love what I do. So it's, and I created, I started my own company called Social Media Design, kind of incorporate designing for social media, but also, do some magazine freelance on the side for people.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's great that you've been able to do it from home with Ryan, who's 7 years old already. I can't believe it.
7.5. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What is some of his favorite things to do now that he's getting older?
He still likes, this typical boy tractors and cars, trucks and sports. And, he amazes me because going through all this, he was able to entertain himself when I'm sleeping or laying down on the couch. He was able to, entertain himself, which, I felt, like, oh, poor thing. He could, he easily could play with, by himself. And so it was nice, but he's handling this all like a trooper.
Yeah, I want to get a little bit more into that. So I know that there's been so much going on. And so take us back a little bit to you found out that you had the brain tumor, and how did you find that out?
Yeah, I went to my primary doctor. Gosh, it's in 2009. I was just going for a physical, and I did complain about having sinus headaches, and I did have moments in my life where I did pass out. I fainted and everything. So it wasn't really, so she's like, oh, let's rule everything out and just do a brain MRI. And then she came back and said, oh, we found this little 1 centimeter brain tumor called meningioma. And at the time I was like, what is, she's like, oh, it's nothing to be worried about. Just, go to a neurosurgeon or neurologist and go from there. And then, so I researched a bunch of different neurosurgeons, and like, again, it was like nothing, no big deal. I just wasn't like, oh, just something common. You could have lived with it all your life. And,
right.
And so I finally found a comfortable surgeon that I liked, and we were able to monitor it yearly up until I had Ryan. And then that's when things started changing, because it grew from 1 centimeter to almost double its size to 4 centimeters because of during my pregnancy, because it's hormone induced and hormone related, estrogen related. So it grew during that time. And
I'm just curious, did they tell you beforehand that there was a possibility that it could grow, or was that something that was a surprise?
That was a surprise. Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea. I went for my checkup, and then just for my annual, and they're like, oh, it grew. And where it's located, it affects my peripheral vision, and there is a lot of risks, and it's really hard to get to operate. That he would only be able to remove 2/3 of it. And I would be left, partially blind and not be able to drive, be on seizure medicine all my life. And those risks were too high for me. So I said, I don't want to even touch it, because I didn't want to, awaken the dragon. You know, I didn't want to make it worse by going in there when I have no symptoms from it, because I don't. So I just still continue just getting MRIs and eye exams, believe it or not, because I do the peripheral vision test and we check to see everything's okay with that. But they're aware now of what's going on with, you know, my cancer. Doctor says we're going to put that on hold as far as getting MRIs, and we'll wait to get a checkup again on that in October, November. I think we're going to see how that is monitored. So hope there's, you know, any change. Hopefully it didn't grow because of the, you know, because this cancer is estrogen positive again. So
okay,
yeah.
so that's really interesting, and there's not much they can do, you know, because it's a hormonal and chemical.
Yeah, and it's the meningiomas are grown on the outer part of layer of the brain. It's like the menges, so it's not like on the brain, but they are known to growing. You can have more than one. You can grow, you know, different sizes, and it affects different, you know, areas. And mine just affects optical. So, but I already wear glasses and things like that. So I don't think it's that kind of effect. But there is, you know, concern because it could grow and I could get a seizure, you know, right at any moment. So it is kind of like a ticking time bomb. It's like you just don't know what this thing is going to do. But I've been, you know, ever since that diagnosis, I was kind of trying to eat clean, and I was reading up about it, and, you know, all that sugar and all that stuff that you hear, like, you know, less this and that. And I quit smoking, all that, you know, all the stuff I did, you know, to try to help it not grow. And so,
Right.
yeah. And then that was 2014, 2015 when after I had Ryan. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that hasn't been easy. Now it's been how long, you know, it's been a while since any growth, right? So that's been a good thing, right?
Yeah, it hasn't grown for 5 years now. It's been stable. And then when they say stable, it is a slow growing growth. So it's back to growing slow again. So it is continuing to grow, but at a very slow pace, which we want. So that's why we have to monitor yearly.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Now, do they think that there's any correlation from that to the breast cancer?
It's hard. They really don't know. Like, but it is kind of coincidence that it is, you know, hormonal, because it grew during the pregnancy, and then I think my body was just really out of whack, you know, because then I got the diagnosis of breast cancer in 2015. So
yeah, I want to talk about that. So in 2015, you just went for a mammogram, or did you feel something?
I felt something. I went for a mammogram routine checkup, and it was missed. So that's another thing with mammograms. I want to say that because you have to go with your gut, you got to, you know, do your monthly, you know, checkup or check. And if you feel something wrong, definitely, you know, get it checked. But because I had very fibrous, dense breasts, they're more common. Mammograms are harder to pick up on things. So I went to my gynecologist, and he suggested ultrasound, went to my MRI, and then it went from there. And then that's when they found out that it was breast cancer. But I did feel the lump though, but it was not picked up on mammogram. And I've read a lot of stories about women that it hasn't, their breast tumors were not found from mammograms. It was just either by the lump or, you know, or they felt it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we have to advocate for women really taking care of themselves, following their instincts. And even if you know that something doesn't seem right, it's good to ask lots of questions. So, and I just want to say, I know that this conversation's hard. You know, in the middle, everything is raw, and all of this is hard. And I know that you want to have this conversation because you want to help other people who might be, and that let them know they're not alone.
Right, and also, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not a death sentence, you know, because breast cancer, they've come so far, and it is, you know, they say 1 in 8 women do get diagnosed. And I was completely shocked and taken back from the first time diagnosed. And it was, you know, it was just unexpected. And I remember being in October in 2015 when I started getting all the tests and everything done. And I remember seeing the commercial because, it's the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, pink ribbons, everything, all Susan Komen, everything you see all over the television, it's, all over, they call it pink. It's everything everywhere. And I remember just looking at the TV, I'm like, oh, at least thank God I don't have to deal with that, And then sure enough, and then 2 months later, I'm like, it's breast cancer. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So it was considered stage 2. And it was only on my left side, my left breast. And at first they were just going to do a lumpectomy, but because after having an MRI, they found a different type of breast cancer. So I had 2 types of breast cancer in my left breast, and invasive ductal and then invasive lobular. So there were 2 types that were both are estrogen and progesterone related. So my body was just like producing too much, and so because the location, so they said, well, we'll have to do a mastectomy. And after further thinking about it, I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with it again. So I elected to do both breasts. So I had a double mastectomy in January of 2016. And they took 4 lymph nodes out, and that came back clean. So that the cancer didn't spread. So she was really confident that she grabbed all the tissue and everything out. And I, was on my way to healing. I was basically considered cancer free, I guess, at that point, because the cancer was gone. She removed it. So it was just a healing journey from 2016 on. And I, was just very, I kind of was left alone in the world, because my oncologists, everybody at the time, were very like, because I didn't need radiation or chemo back then, because my scores were so low, and they didn't think I would benefit from it. But they did want me to go on a hormone blocker, which I refused because I read so many negative things about it. And at the time I was really, really into, not conventional, medicine. And I was like, I didn't want to go into early menopause. I was 43 at the time. And I really was just, I could find out ways to reduce my estrogen levels. I was, on my own. And fast forward to now, they even think that even if I took a hormone back then, it would have probably come back regardless either way. So
yeah, we can't go back. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't go back in time. So why even try to think if it could at that point? Because yesterday we don't even have anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wasn't looking back, and it was definitely a hard, the going through the double mastectomy. And I think Ryan was about 2-3 years old at the time, so I couldn't pick him up. So I had my mom help, and Chris was around, and so it was just that was hard, but I recovered really well. Like, I definitely healed really fast, and then we had reconstruction and everything following. And like I said, I was just living, just feeling great, and counting each year that I was another cancer free. Like, and it was just, I was doing my MRIs with the breast and make sure they were okay, and I was just feeling good. Like, it was just back to normal, life back to normal, and I was about to hit my 5-year mark.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I want to stop you there for 1 second, because I remember seeing, like, one of the things that I think you've done such an amazing job of, and I think that those who are your friends who see, and, because you share your journey, right? You share your journey, you publicly share your journey on your page on Facebook, and you do some things on Instagram too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you realize that we're there cheering you on. We may not be there physically, and I know we might both cry. It's going to be okay. Like, I'm just letting everybody else know, because it is very emotional. Is that we watch from afar. It doesn't mean we don't care or love you or want to be there to support you, but we do it in a way, and we see it, and we put our little words of acknowledgement there. But the thing is that it really does. I hope it helps you as much as it helps people on the other side too, because I can tell you that when we think about, there's always somebody who has it easier and always somebody who has it harder. You see people who've had it harder than you. I've seen people who've had it harder than me. But always that fact of saying there's, that inspiration that makes you launch forward and move forward. And I hope how you are inspiring so many people. And when you just had your surgery and you were posting things, I couldn't believe how great you looked. I couldn't believe you were walking around.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this was not like having a baby. This is very different. And it was so impressive Meg, how your healing journey there. You were incredible fighter, absolutely incredible fighter. And I, like all of us, you had started posting that you were getting close to your 5 years, and we were there, yeah.
Through it all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be okay. I'm thinking, I'm seeing that on your Facebook page that, yeah, wow, it's been 5 years already. We're starting to think about that. And then you had some pain, right?
Yeah. I was starting to feel, like soreness when I would go to sleep on my left arm, not tightness, but like achiness, like a pulled muscle feeling. And I started working out a lot again. And I was really looking forward to getting back into that and doing weight training. And then I was getting into the shower one night and I just noticed my muscle, like, it was protruding, it was like a lump there. And I was even I'm like, that's weird. And I was kind of like scared. I'm like, I thought I pulled something. And then I think I waited about a week or so and I just called my breast surgeon and I said, hey, I think I pulled something, but it's, because you don't think of cancer or whatever going there on a bone, like anything. So I made the appointment. She seemed kind of, I could see it in her face, like, yeah, no, that's not bone. That's not muscle, that's bone. So it went from there. We went getting biopsies and MRIs and CAT scan, PET scan, you name it, all these tests. And sure enough, it was, cancer. And my breast surgeon who initially did my double mastectomy, she was dumbfounded. She's like, I cannot believe this is happening. She was like, I had put your file in archive. Like, I thought I would never have to see you ever again. And so she showed me, the pathology report and she's like, yeah, it's cancer and it's coming. What we had to wait for other additional tests was to make sure it came from the breast cancer and not a new cancer. So that was a nerve-wracking waiting for those results, because we had to make sure it was from the breast cancer, which we were kind of confident about, but there was a chance that it was a whole new demon. So when we did find out that it was from the breast cancer, but like, again, she was just like crazy. She's like, I took all the tissues out and it's like basically a rogue cell just escaped and found its new home on my sternum. So the new cancer was on my sternum, part on my pectoral muscle and part of my ribs. And so I met with the oncologist again and we decided to, he's like, you need to see the best of the best and go to New York. And he recommended me to Dr. Stiles at the time as New York Pres. He's no longer with them anymore. He's moved to another hospital in New York. But, to go from there, so he said that we'll do either surgery and then go from there, treatment. So I had actually 6 months ago, yesterday, exactly to the day, I had the sternum reconstruction. And that was definitely the hardest surgery, more so than the double mastectomy for sure. I still have pain and discomfort and like there's something hitting my chest, but so it's been 6 months now. I can't believe it.
Wow. Yeah, that is, I can't believe it either. I can't believe it either. But I want to go back because I remember seeing you getting ready for the surgery, and you went to the, if I remember correctly, you went to a hotel, right? And you guys were getting ready for the next day, posting that. And I just remember, seeing you with Ryan and feeling like, oh my gosh, like, what is that feeling? I mean, I can't even imagine the feeling that experience, knowing that you don't know what they're going to come back with and having to be able to be ready for anything. But then the next thing I see is if I remember correctly, you're in the hotel, you're smiling, you've had the surgery done, you're like half sitting.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe you were mobile. Like, how long did it take you to get mobile? You have an incredible.
Yeah, it was hard because I was in the hospital for 3 days and they had to get me up walking, but yeah, it was hard to walk. It was hard to breathe. I had a hard time catching my breath and it was hard. That was definitely a hard time because that was the longest I've ever been away from Ryan and the hospital for 3 days. But I want to get back to that when I got diagnosed the second time when it was that, this is probably where I'll get emotional because it was the hardest thing to hear that it came back. And I just remember coming home and Chris and I, we just like, we left the doctor's office and I just cried and a hard cry. And I remember coming home and I just gave him a hug because I was just, at that point, I thought it, we didn't know if it had spread or anything. So that second time when we noticed, when we got the notification that it was cancer again, I was just crying so hard, and I just held on to him so hard because I was like, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to go anywhere. This can't be happening again. So excuse me with the tissues.
No, it's okay. We're feeling people.
So yeah, I just remember that emotional, intense feeling because, as much as I do, I try to portray, the positivity and everything. That was the hardest to go through it. And like, I know myself, I had to let it all out that day and that moment. And then the next day it was just focus, and go. And, and Chris has been great because, he lost both of his parents to cancer. And so I was, it was just hard because I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I can't go anywhere. So that's my, I don't, like I said, one of my posts about being sick, I never considered cancer as being like, sick. To me is like a cold or having a flu or whatever, and I just never looked at cancer that way. It's just something that I just have to, like I said, I just changed my focus and I let it all out that day, and I cried hard. And I just knew, I'm like, okay, I got to do whatever I got to do to make sure this doesn't come back and make sure it doesn't spread. And, I just took each day by day and just made sure I, stopped worrying about what could I have done, and what changes could I have made? All these things, should I have been eating right? Or did I slipped up and I started eating sugar again, or junk food, and all these things were going through your head. But all that, I had to stop thinking like that. So that's what got me going.
What did you tell Ryan? How did you get him to understand?
Yeah, it was hard. Because the first time he was only 2, so he had no clue. He had no understanding. That's why another reason why I started my blog and my journey and posting publicly, because it was more of a documentary for myself and for him, when he's older, to fully understand, because he has no clue. But now he sees it as, having fun and doing TikTok videos, but he does understand, unfortunately, cancer, because we've talked about his grandparents that both passed, and relatives over in England that have passed on too of cancer. So he knows the word cancer too well, unfortunately. And when we told him that he was with my sister-in-law when I got the call, when I got diagnosed, and she had him on speakerphone, and we told her, they were like, oh, he's like, does mommy have cancer? And then you could hear him. She's like, oh, like that. So he was, he told me just recently that I didn't want to break down while I was driving, but he told me that he does worry about me and me going anywhere. So he's like, I think about you, mommy, all the time. And I cry in the morning. I cry at night. I'm like, when do you cry? He's like, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the, in the afternoon, sometimes at night. He's like, I worry about you. So it was hard.
Yeah. Oh, you got those tissues, like we said, with me. Yeah. But I love, and I know I want to share this a little later, but I kind of share this now because it's the right portion. So what did you do? Tell everybody what you did special with him each week through your cancer treatments.
I started, I think actually I'm gonna have to probably put a whole video compilation together, because I started doing videos with him when I got diagnosed initially, and then we weren't doing them weekly, but we would do them once in a while, when each kind of I did one right before surgery, I did one after surgery, and then once my chemo treatment started, when it got down, was I did 20 weeks of chemo, and which I still can't believe. It started November 30th, and I did that 2 days after my birthday, and I started, once it got down to 10 weeks, that's when I started doing the weekly countdown videos. So he's been, we enjoy doing them, and it's just so much fun, and he loves it. So
explain to everybody what those videos are and what you did with him.
So basically each countdown, I try to correlate it with like the song, or like, and we'd be dancing, and then I would just tell, count down to 10, 10 week, and then we go down, but we would just dance around, and he would do, funny things with me, and he would wink at the end, and that became his signature ending. So he knew to do that all the time. So now he always ends with the wink.
and everybody posts about how they love the wink.
He mastered it. Yeah. I remember when he started trying to wink, like about a year or two ago, he just started doing it. He's more so now.
So which song would you say is your favorite?
Oh gosh. I don't know. There's so many. Each one the videos that I did, they were so powerful to do. Like, I like the Queen. The Queen ones are definitely, and even Kelly Clarkson. I'm Still Standing was the last one because it was like my my FU to cancer. Because I'm still standing. You can't. Even though I'm still have a long journey still ahead, but that was one of the the fun things. So we are considering doing some new videos ahead for my next coming treatment.
Yeah, so this is a very special week, and this is why I really wanted us to go live because, like you said, your last song was I'm Still Standing because this was your last week of chemo, right?
Yeah, Monday. I can't believe it. Yeah. That was emotional.
I know. I saw the flowers and your sister coming, and
yeah, she picked me up, and I just broke down and cried hard again. And I let it out. It was like I said, because at that moment it was just so much focus, so much, that's all I did was appointments and all this all for 5 months, and it was such a relief, So when I got in that car when she picked me up, that's when it hit me again. And so it's like, whew, and I'm sure it's still going to hit me throughout the day and throughout the weeks, ahead, because I just, I look back, I'm like, oh, wow, I remember when I was so tired. I remember when I was laying down, feeling, but I never felt thank God I was never really too sick, but it was just mostly just tired and fatigue, shortness of breath and things like that. But it was hard. Yeah. But now looking back, it was definitely hard. And then losing my hair and all that was tough. It's still emotional. And then I've made a lot of other friends with a lot of fellow pink sisters, and so we share our moments and stuff, so that helps a lot too. And and I never realized that I was inspiring, and it still blows my mind when people are saying all these amazing things and I'm inspiring, and I'm just like, I'm just living, I'm just doing what I have to do. And I don't know no other way to be. And so that's when I created the blog 6 years ago, right after my first diagnosis. Like I said, it was not just people were saying, oh, you're inspiring me. I'm like, well, people were inspiring me too. So I was like, and plus, like I said, it's a documentary or just something for Ryan too when he's older, so he can see and look back, and he'll fully understand the journey that his mommy went through.
Yeah, you talk about your hair, and I did want to bring this up. I have to say that was an incredible, took my breath away moment, and I can't even imagine on your side because your hair has always been to the bottom of your waist. I mean, right?
I always cherished it. I always took pride in my hair, and that was tough too. And seeing clumps and clumps fall out, and I was trying to hold on to it, and trying to do everything and doing supplements, whatever you can, would do to save it. And I just had them. I told Chris one time, it was right before he went to bed. I'm like, you know what? It was like a Tuesday. I'm like, right, Friday, I think I have to shave it because I can't deal with it. Just more depressing seeing your hair fall. And I actually was saving it in bags because it was so much hair falling out. And I just thought I can't do it. So I was like, that's when we decided, and we did the video live too. We posted the video of me shaving my hair.
Yeah, and you had Ryan there, and as if from the outside, it seems as if you've made him a part of what you could, so that he could have a better understanding, but doing it in a way that's not frightful.
Right. Yeah, he was scared at first. He was when I talked about cancer initially with him, and I told him that there's going to be a chance that I could lose my hair. He's like, really? No. And then, he had his moments too, emotional moments when it did fall out. And when he's like, I miss your hair, Mom. I really, he's like, I like you bald, but I really miss your hair. And I'm like, I do too. It'll grow back, and then just, I want to say the past 2 months, that's when my eyelashes and my eyebrows fell off too. I mean, it's just very thin. So I'm just still dealing with that emotionally too, because I always love my lashes and my eyebrows. But thank God for makeup.
Makeup is great, and they grow, and all of this is going to grow back.
Yeah.
That's the good news as well. And
Yeah.
this is that you're finished your last chemo treatment, which is, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, such a huge. But Meg, you said before, yes, you're very inspirational, but this journey is not one to take lightly. You know what I'm saying? It's a roller coaster ride of emotion, I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you tell somebody who gets the diagnosis today?
I know. Well, I guess at first that it's not like, it's not a death sentence, and that, but also, it's just hard. You just don't know, because I still don't know how to react with my emotions. I go up and down, and you have survivor's guilt. You have, why is this one reacting this way and the one's not? I remember when I got diagnosed 5 years ago, I had a fellow former coworker, colleague of mine. She passed of cancer, breast cancer, and I felt so guilty. You have those emotions too, because it's like, how, I survived and she didn't. So you have a bunch of emotions that go through you. And so I guess would say, just take a deep breath, and just take a step back, and just listen to your doctors, listen to your gut, and just research, and just read up a lot about what kind of cancer you have, and what led to that, or happened. I just, I really still don't know. Like I said, like, you don't want to go keep looking back and why it came back, but I just know that I don't want it to come back again. And I don't even want to think about, like, oh, what if, but I just, like I said, just live each day by day, but just to, listen to your gut, and just, take a deep breath, and just get great support, of friends and family you can. And I finally, the second time around, no, because I always say no, I don't need help. And so this time around, I actually accepted help. Like, I had friends, I had people starting meal trains for me, cooking for me, offering, to take Ryan to play dates and things like that. And when I got first diagnosed the first time, I would just, oh, no, I'm good, it's so fine. Like, I would say no. So now I know now to learn how to say yes, and to accept the help. And you can't do everything by yourself.
Doesn't make you weak if you need help. It helps you to gain the strength that you may need to do, the next thing that you need to do. And your, mental health is really important.
Right.
Speaking about that, how did you keep yourself going every day? When, there were days, I'm sure, that were harder than others. So what did you do to stay in this positive place?
It's just, like the days and night, it was, each day was different. But I should say it was different, but like, I would have my emotions. I would snap. I easily snap. I would easily, my moods would go up, and I don't know if that was my menopausal, because I'm going into perimenopausal, and the chemo, they call it flashes, hot flashes I'm getting now. So it was definitely hard. I just took each, I think what kept my mind busy was not thinking about it all the time. Number one, I definitely didn't wake up thinking about, I have cancer, or I have this to go through. Homeschooling, having to do that, being busy and doing that helped throughout the day. And then when I did have quiet times, I would sit down, either catch up on my reality shows, which I love. And so that kept me busy, and not think about what was actually happening. And one thing that I definitely remember every day, or initially in the beginning, was when I go to bed at night, wake up in the morning and feel great, and then realize, like, oh shoot, I'm going through this. Like that's when it would hit me. Sometimes in the mornings, I'd be like, have a great dream, or just wake up feeling great, and be like, oh yeah, I have to deal with this. So those are the kind of feelings I would have. And besides, looking in the mirror and saying, no hair and no eyebrows, and looking the part, looking sick, but not feeling sick, so that was what's hard too. It's like, I just remember looking, every day, I just look in the mirror, I'm like, geez, I look sick, but I don't feel sick. But it's because, it's just amazing what hair does. And like what, I didn't have that swallow, look. And another thing with breast cancer, patients or people that are going through breast cancer and going through treatment, and you think you're going to lose all this weight going through chemo, and you don't. There's actually women with breast cancer going through treatment gain a little weight, because they give you all these steroids and pre-meds and stuff for your body, to help with the side effects and everything. So that was one of the surprising things. I'm like, oh, here I'm thinking I'm going to be like, cancer chic. And I'm like, not that I gained a lot of weight. I'm like just a few pounds here and there, but I'm like, but so now I'm like, I'm getting ready for detoxing next week from the chemo. So I got cleared for that. So I'm just gonna get my body ready for that. And then the next step is radiation. So I have to do that.
So tell us about that. So how long do you have radiation?
Yeah, I just found out. I went Tuesday for my meet with the radiation doctor and the team and got everything sorted. I'm going to be doing 5 days a week of radiation for 6 weeks. So a total of 33 treatments. So I start May 10th and I'll end on June 24th, which is my wedding anniversary. So it was kind of like, oh, good, something to look forward to. It'll be done. Yeah. But there are side effects with the radiation, because it could affect your lungs, it could affect your heart. And because I have implants from the double mastectomy, it could affect the implant where they're going to be radiating, where it could shrivel up or something and make it encapsulized or something like that. So there could be reconstruction surgery in the future. I don't know yet, but that might happen. So I'm reading up now and getting prepared of what to do for my body and what to take supplement wise. And I know I read drinking aloe juice and things like that help for the burning and everything like that. So I'm going to be reading up a lot on that before that starts. And
limitations when you're going through the radiation, do you have any physical limitations that you?
No, they don't. They said there's going to be fatigue, but it's going to, and I'm kind of used to that now because I'm still from the chemo and from the reconstruction surgery I had from the sternum. I still have shortness of breath sometimes, but yeah, that was just about it. Nothing, no hair loss or nothing like that. It was just mostly fatigue and internally, I guess they got to keep an eye on my lungs and what else they said, in my heart and things like that. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I know, right? You're like, okay, I finished one thing. Can I just be?
No, I mean, this is good. I mean, it's good. The scan itself is only like 10 minutes. But yeah, I do have to go every day, Monday through Friday for 6 weeks. But, it's just hard to, I don't know, because it's going to be a whole new kind of thing, a new way, because it's going to have to drive, I could drive myself. I scheduled it so I could drop Ryan off at school, and then I could just go right and get it done in the morning. So, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's like this next journey, but you know what? You look at it now, 6 months later, right? You remember when you were posting that you couldn't wait until the spring, and now the spring is here.
I know. I can't believe it. It seems so far away at the time. And my hair is starting to go back too. So it's like a spring, everything's sprouting. So it's like, yeah.
That's so awesome. So tell everybody the Get Inspired by Meg piece. Tell everybody about Get Inspired by Meg and what you're doing there.
Yeah. So I just, like I said, I never realized I was inspiring people. And I just was like, people were inspiring me. So I just like, I need to start writing, like I said, a documentary for Ryan and myself, and just a journal, like a journaling kind of thing. And I haven't been writing too much, but because I post pretty much everything on Facebook, and sometimes I remember like, oh, I should probably write something in the blog. But in there, I just kind of just put everything that I've used or what I've done. And, the music videos too, just, and I share my story, like, how it started and how I had no clue about what organic food was and not even care, but it was that, and how I was like a smoker and, all this stuff. So, I just wanted to share and get inspired by Meg, and just hopefully somebody could be inspired and going through what they're, I'm going through, and just that it's going to be okay. And, and it's okay to, like I said, and I try to share the darker side, and, it's not like I said, but I try to share a lot as much as I can. But like you said, it is, behind closed doors. I do have my moments where I'm like, oh, Chris actually makes fun of me. He's like, oh, your social media doesn't see you that way. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't have a camera on me all the time, and I can't be posting, he's like, because I snap, or I have, I do have my moods. I do have my moments where I just scream, and I unfortunately, they're at the, poor Ryan and Chris are at the end of it, where I'm, I let it out on them, because it's just sometimes just like, oh, I can't, I can't deal with this right now, or I can't handle, so I do want to say that, because it's not always,
No,
like
can't
you said,
be.
positive. Yeah, everything's going great. It's not.
No, because I mean, I think, I don't know if you've been through this, but I have other friends or know other people who have been through cancer, and that there's that why me piece. Like,
yeah. I said that to myself the first time. I said, why me? Why me? And,
you'll never get an answer.
You never, and I remember, people are like, saying like, oh, why does the, bad things always happen to good people? And I said this before, and because the good people can take it, and they can handle, and can take on anything. Whereas the bad people that get diagnosed with something like this, they don't know how to handle it. So the good people are the tougher ones. They always win. Yeah.
That is very true. That is very true. And I think it's important that people know that it can't always be, unicorns and rainbows when you're dealing with this. I mean, it's great. You have your time that you share inspiration, but you're human.
Right. Exactly.
Your mental health is so important.
Oh, absolutely. Which I'm
going to be
checking into that.
Yeah. And the rug got pulled out, from you 3 different times. Now, 3 times, that's it. 3 times and done, right? There's the 3 breaks, that's it. We're over now. Everything is going to be great. And and like I said, you've got always, no matter what, through all of these diagnoses, you've had such a light about you, even though I know there are days that it doesn't feel like you're lit up. What are your feelings on counseling for people who are going through this?
Oh, it's so important. Yeah, I think it's definitely important. Because I'm actually going to probably make an appointment soon with with counseling. I think it's important, just for extra support, whether, professional or just even through friends or whatever. But you need to seek out, I think, definitely, because it definitely hits you, like, emotionally and mentally. You have to, because you just can't. I thought I remember years ago I could do everything on my own, but yeah, I just started seeking professional help last year when COVID happened. So, and that helped me out. So I'm gonna do it again, because I have to, like I said, when this is all said and done, when my last treatment is over on June 24th, I think it's definitely, I think that's when it feels like the walls are just going to crush in on me. I'm going to feel like, holy moly, like this, I just can't believe this went through. And then, another thing with cancer people that dates are so significant. Like, you remember every single date and milestones. For a while I was counting all my milestones, I'm like, oh, December 15th, it'll be 5 years and all that stuff. And now I'm going to have new dates and new memories. And I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, 6 months from now, it'll be October. That's when everything started. So it'll be almost a year. So I'm like already thinking like, wow, I'm going to, you keep looking at, wow, a year ago I was doing this, or I was doing this. And dates and days are so significant, more so, when you're diagnosed.
Because I don't think that we go through life, that we think that tomorrow, we think tomorrow is owed to us. Everything, when we're young, especially, we don't live in the fact of how fragile life can totally be for anyone.
Right.
And we don't live in the moment, Meg. I think that's the other problem, because we're always waiting for, well, I'll do this when I have that.
Right.
Because we're going to be able to do this 3 years from now because we're 40.
Right.
Unfortunately, we don't all feel that we don't all get that opportunity. And for those who are here right now, those who are listening right now, you and I, this moment in itself, it's hard to think about it, but because it sounds almost hokey pokey when you say it, is a gift.
Yeah.
It really is. And so you get a choice each day, each moment. We have a choice. What is the perspective we want to have? And sometimes that perspective is, you might have to yell at somebody, and you don't mean it, and you say you're sorry and you're frustrated. But the other moment, you can tell somebody you love them, or give yourself some self-care time.
Yeah.
And take a walk.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that's why, I have that mantra that I say at the end of every single episode, which is, today is the day you can't go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. it sounds kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Right. No, but it's so true.
But it is, it's really very true.
And it's, like you said, perspective. It's all about perspective, because if you go into anything that's thrown at you into like, oh, woe is me? Why is this happening? That pattern, it's always going to attract to you, and you're always going to get that towards you. And so, I can't look at it, why did this happen again? I can't look at it like that.
No.
Because I'm not going to be like, oh, I feel I can't, I don't want pity. I don't want that, and that's another thing. I didn't post to get pity, because I that wasn't my intention either. Like I said, I just wanted to share what was going on, and what's happening and how I'm dealing with it, and may be different for you, but just a different perspective on how when you're getting diagnosed with something like so heavy like this and so deep, and like I said, it won't probably hit me again until this is all over. I'll be like, holy, well, I can't believe that this happened, but I look back and wow, I got through it, so, and I'm still getting through it, but yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
I know one thing, I'm celebrating, for you, and I think we all are, and everybody who's watching on Facebook Live, and everybody, is saying, like, it's a huge congratulations that, you've been through a lot, and a lot of, and you had a lot of chemo that you had to deal with since when did you start chemo? What was the month?
5 months ago. Yeah. So I started November 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every week. And so, yeah. So congratulations. I mean, there's a part of celebration, I hope, for you in that door closing for
that was definitely the toughest and the longest part of this whole treatment plan. It was that for sure. So yeah, now there's definitely light at the tunnel, and but I still have just I take a little break, which is a nice little breather before starting radiation. But yeah, would be when it's over, it'll be exciting.
If anybody on the Facebook Live has any questions for Meg, you can absolutely throw it in there. As I ask her, I have an important question I want to ask her. So while she's getting ready to answer that question, if anybody has any questions on the Facebook Live for Meg, just throw it in there, and I will ask her. Oh, she'll be able to see them too.
Me too. Yeah, I'm looking.
So I ask every guest, Meg, this question. If you knew then what you know now, and it doesn't have to be related to cancer, it can be anything in general in your life, what would you say that would be? And it doesn't have to be just one thing. It could be more.
I can say anything to as far as saying something to
your younger self. What would you tell your younger self if you knew then what you know now?
Just to love yourself, and just really, because I'm still learning. Even I'm going to be 49 this year, and I can't believe I still have those moments of insecurities and things like that. But in your 20s you're insecure, 30s you're still learning, and 40s you're kind of trying to polish it off. So I'm like, trying to polish it all together. But just to not worry so much about what others think about you, and just to be yourself, and don't worry so much about what others think. I think that's because I remember always thinking that in my 20s. Was like, oh, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? What are they going to, I thought a lot like that. So yeah, that my advice is just don't worry about it. Just be you. Just do whatever you got to do, and don't worry about what others think.
Isn't it incredible? I know, because I was like that myself. Is that always that judgment piece? You feel some people have this really great personality, and that they everything just kind of falls off of them, right? They're like Teflon, nothing really. But the sensitive people, right? The ones who are really sensitive, things really get to them. So we don't necessarily do the things we love because we're going to be judged. I love that.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. So how is Ryan? Is he nearby by chance?
I think he's downstairs playing video games.
Okay, I wanted to hear what his favorite TikTok was, but you'll have to let us know. But what else do you feel like is important from this journey to share with those who might be listening or watching?
Gosh, I don't know. It's so unique for everyone, and like I said, I have a couple of friends on that I've met on Facebook that are going through treatment right now. And so it's just, I see them struggling a little bit. They're having hard days. They're not feeling well. Can't sleep. And so I just, it's, again, I feel guilty too, because I even questioned my oncologist, because I was like, is the chemo working? Because I'm feeling good. So I was just like, they're like, laugh. They're like, no, you're just reacting well to it. And so I was doubting. I was like, is it all for nothing? Is it happening? So I don't know. But it's just, everyone is just going to be so different. I think it's hard to really pinpoint and say, try this, try that, because everyone's going to come and say like, oh, I did this or I did that. I belong to a couple support groups which help, but also they could be detrimental, because people are like, oh, I did this or I stopped taking this because I did this worked for me. So mindset, yeah, Dulcie just wrote mindset. Yeah, positive. Yeah, have to have a mindset. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think that could, we don't know, right, the real reasons, but it could be, I think maybe Delsey's saying too, is that the reason you didn't have all that feeling and feeling sick and ill was the mindset. And also, you're also trying to make sure that your son is going through this with you too. So
right.
That protects you in some ways too, to want to showcase if your body allows you, to.
Right.
You can't, this is one of those things, it's hard to fake it till you make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to hold on to faking it too long if you're really not positive about it. It will hit you. So you had those moments, but if you can push through them and then, go on and be positive and share some light, then you almost you can convince yourself too. But you can also jump on the other train, which is obviously those who get hit with this diagnosis makes perfect sense for them to feel like, poor me.
Yeah.
How could this happen to me?
Right.
So that's hard if you're surrounding yourself with people in that scale when you're just trying to keep your mental health going too.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, surrounding yourself with, the same like-minded people. But yeah, it's hard because it's like everybody, like I said, Chris had many deaths, through cancer in his family. And so it was definitely hard, being positive. But he actually been very amazingly, at least he's not showing it to me, but like, how scared he might have been when we heard this coming back, so I think he was, he definitely did a good job holding it or not showing it. But so it's just a good supportive team, a family, of people around you, and like, mindset, definitely, for sure.
I think we're all giving you a virtual hug because you deserve it. And I know it's not easy to talk about, so I want you to know how much I appreciate the fact that you trusted, me to talk to you about it, and that you're willing to share your story, because it's not an easy one, and it is definitely emotional. But what's next? So beyond this, right? There's a whole other life beyond this. So what's
I know. I just can't wait till that. I don't have any more appointments or anything like that. But like I said, unfortunately, cancer, it's it's always going to be in the back burner, because you always have to do scans and watch and things like that. But I'm just hoping just to get back to living my life again, and just getting back into what I love to do, which was working out. I loved working out and exercising. I want to get fit. I want to be I turn 50 next year, so I want to be able to be just in the best shape ever and best health ever, and also continue singing. And like, I want to try to audition for The Voice. I don't know. I have submitted, applied for where they notify you when the next audition calls and things like that. And they all, because of COVID, they do handle virtual auditions and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm enjoying. We'll see.
Oh my God, that's huge. And thank you for sharing that. So so we'll all be dialing in if we have to, right? If it goes to a vote, we'll all be voting for you. Know that. But that's great. And what about work? Are you able to continue doing that?
Yeah, I've been. That's the blessing of it, because with I've been able to work, and they've been understanding with this company that I've been working for the past 7 years. They've been so great, and letting and same with, I just started another freelance position and job. So I've been working through this, the time while, going through the chemo, and while I was doing surgery, I was like, oh, I'm taking a couple days off, and like, but I've still been working. Yeah. So I've been busy with that. And I think that helps keeping my mind busy. And being creative, and that's my my outlet. And so, and singing too. That's definitely, and I want to get back into writing again, and hopefully write my own songs again. I haven't done that in a while.
Great. So I hope you'll come back on after June 24th.
Yeah.
With us, that part of your next journey.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I know it's only 6 weeks away or 8 weeks away.
It is. And then you'll have your summer, and then you'll have your summer, and hopefully COVID won't be as big as it is, and it'll be small, we'll be in a better place with the numbers. So we're heading in a good direction.
Yeah.
So Meg, anything else last minute before we go?
No, I just want to thank all, the people on Facebook that I've met, and people that I don't know. Just it's so touching, and I try to read everybody's message, and it does get overwhelming, and and I get emotional reading everybody and people that reached out. I just had one earlier before we started. This woman, her name was Erica. She says, "Hi, I don't know you, but I've been watching, me and my son watch your videos with your son dancing," and I started getting emotional. So that touched me, and people. So I just so grateful and thankful for everybody with all the support. I never imagined it to be like this, and here I was just, and I forget sometimes that when I share things that it's public like that, and I forget because I'll talk to my accountant or whatever, and they're like, I'm like, "Oh, did you know I'm going to?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I saw you on Instagram." I'm like, "Oh yeah," because I forget what who's watching me, who follows me, and I forget, and so it's kind of funny like that, because I always feel like, "Oh, should I tell them, what's going on?" And then they end up knowing because I had posted about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know." I'm like, "Oh," so it's just it is overwhelming. It is kind of it's great, that we have this outlet, this other medium of letting people know, and social media has been great that way. I think for sharing, because to let people are not alone, and I'm there with you and helping to get through it, if you're going through it.
Somebody did just post in the Facebook Live that your journey is definitely a source of strength for me as I go through my cancer treatment. So,
oh wow, yeah.
So you see, you just don't know, because that is the good news about social media, right? It has some negative things, unfortunately, but it has a ton of positive things, and it's a great way for people to support each other and gain some inspiration. So you just don't know, Meg.
I know.
They're cheering you on.
I know.
So thank you. So I hope that we'll plan something for right after June 24th, and we'll be celebrating the finish to this whole thing. Exactly. So I'm still standing. I can't wait to see what the song will be at the end of that piece or leg of your journey.
Oh right, yeah, I have some things in mind, because another thing, sense of humor too. You have to have a sense of humor. So we have fun with that. So we're already thinking of songs, correlating with radiation and and burn. So we're thinking of things like that already. But because I have to go every day, so I don't know if I'm going to be posting a video every day, but maybe weekly again, maybe. Yeah. So we can do a countdown. Radiation countdown.
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, somebody better pick this up, because it's so good. So yeah, you got to start doing some really good hashtags. That way you can
I know it's tough. It's hard. I don't know how things go viral, but yeah, so it's definitely you can try.
You've got your winking sun on there at the end. Is the hit of the show there. So. Well, I'm so glad we got to talk, and I can't believe it's 25 years. That's just incredible. And I'm blessed to know you and your sister, and I'm just so excited that we were able to have this chat today. Thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening, and definitely it's an emotional time, but I'm so glad we got to share such an incredible part of one leg of the journey. You're at in that space, one leg down, one to go.
Yep, exactly.
All right, everybody. I'll say what I always say at the end of every podcast. Today is the day you cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what are you going to do today to take one small or large step to get yourselves closer to whatever your goals are? Meg, thank you for sharing and bringing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.